Hello, everyone. I am Dan Stapleton, and this is Justin Davis here.
Hello.
And what you're looking at here, Justin, is City Skylines, which I am reviewing. We will have a full video review for this coming up. GDC impacts and everything kind of got in the way, but we'll have that soon, I promise.
We didn't want to wait any time getting a video up on the site to let people know that you're actually digging this game quite a bit.
I am.
In this video, is this going to publish? Can we talk about your score?
We can, yes.
So you're giving it an 8.5?
That's right. I think it is a great game. And it's kind of at odds with simulation and like gameplay fun.
Sure.
Which is, it's a balance that must be struck. And I think it's more on the side of simulation than it is on gaminess.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, so a lot of people, what makes me really excited about this is, like everybody else, I was sort of excited for the new SimCity, enjoyed it for about 5 hours, and then sort of ran up against the limitations in that game and ended up being very disappointed. And City Skylines really looks to be, or sounds like it's going to be an answer to a lot of that, especially when it comes to the size of the cities.
Right. So let me give you a little perspective here.
Yeah.
Whoop.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah, so when you start out, you just start with one of these. This is my original square here.
Uh-huh.
I know there's an abandoned building. So there's one original square here.
And you filled it all out and then expanded.
Yeah, so then you can just buy more of these as you go. And it almost feels like a direct shot at SimCity 2013 in that, like, this area is pretty much what you get total in one of those cities.
Right. And this can be up to 9 squares big total.
Right, so you can have 9 of those at once. Shut up, fake Twitter.
Yeah.
So, and this is a 96,700 people.
And so you can see,
city.
you reached 100,000 people, really only filling out 2 to 3.5 squares, 4 squares maybe.
And some of them have water on them and you can't build on and stuff like that. So, so you can get, I guess the hard limit is 1 million people you could cram into one of these cities.
Right.
It's real big.
That's pretty freaking rad. And so, one of the things in your review that you said you especially liked about this, sort of besides the size and scope that you're able to grow your city, is that, the tools are actually pretty flexible and powerful. I mean, do you have an example of that you could show us?
Right. So traffic is kind of the puzzle you want to figure out in any city building game.
Sure.
And this one is an exceptionally good, simulation of traffic, just
right.
in depth. You can see, all these cars driving around. They all have destinations.
We're in the traffic view right now that shows where, you have some areas where the traffic is not flowing.
Yeah, and this view, by the way, and all these info views are very much inspired by SimCity 2013.
Yeah.
Like, they just remove the textures exactly the way.
It's pretty obvious, for
right.
sure. So what's an example of how you could deal with this traffic in a way that's, like, pretty simple or fun?
All right, so I've already done this in a couple of places, but I will create an overpass to try and relieve some of this gridlock.
Right. So we're seeing a relatively nasty intersection. Things are not flowing as smoothly as we would like.
Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let's pause it.
Mm-hmm.
Go boom, boom, and now these guys are off-roading.
Right.
Because they're awesome.
That's true. Delete the road.
All right, and then we're going to go like this, and with the push of a button, boom, boom. Boom.
You're just doing page up, page down to
Yep.
sort of elevate that road.
And
that's super simple.
And now, behold, as our traffic gets way better.
That's awesome.
So it might be a little bit harder for them to get from point A to point B, but
well,
that's not really...
Screw them, Dan.
We may have actually moved the traffic over here instead. But
well, I mean,
it looks really pretty, though.
And there's highway interchanges and on-ramps and off-ramps. You have all kinds of tools at your disposal. I mean, do you have any other examples in your review of these flexible and powerful tools? Are you sort of just referring to traffic tools or sort of other tools that make it easy to manage your city?
I mean, the roads are the big thing.
Yeah.
I'd say the public transit stuff is arguably too complicated in a lot of ways.
Sure.
Because not only do you have to lay down, let me show you, like, if I want to lay down some bus stops, I have to lay down each individual bus stop.
Yeah.
And then, like, whoops, that's going to go a long way.
Yeah.
All right. You have to lay down each individual one.
Oh, wow.
And then, like, each one has routes. Like, here's some other routes. If I want them to overlap, it gets kind of confusing. So
it's always this balancing act between power to control how you want to control it and ease of use.
Right. So it does err on the side of power, which is arguably good.
Yeah.
But it's a bit much sometimes. Let me show you another really powerful tool. These are districts, where you can let's see. You can paint a district. Let's just create a new one here. Let's draw it over here. So you can just paint that, and then I can set specific policies within that.
Oh, okay.
Like I can set like different industry types here, I can go.
So you could specifically make, a high-tech sector,
Right.
or it's more than just the traditional SimCity trilogy of a trinity of industry, commerce, and residential.
Yep.
Could you do things like, could you paint a residential district to prevent buildings from growing into bigger buildings?
You
for
can
example?
do that under city planning. You can prevent high rises.
You can also legalize drugs.
You can legalize recreational use here.
Uh-huh.
Although it says like it increases crime. Like crime, I think is kind of, or actually slightly reduced crime rate. Never mind.
There you go.
Yeah, we can tell where they land politically.
So you were saying that one issue that you had is it's not always apparent if something even is a bug or not. Like we're obviously seeing lots of pop-ups, buildings that are vacant, and you had that fake Twitter letting you know. So you do have some sort of feedback when things are going well or not going well, but you said their game could really use some more of that, correct?
Right. So one of the things that I ran into was like when I reached around 50,000 population, my population had been growing steadily. It would tell me, hey, you need more residential. Hey, you need more commercial. Hey, you need more industrial. And I would provide that, and it would grow, and I would just keep doing that loop, which is great. Except then it all of a sudden, and kind of here now, it's doing the similar thing. It says you don't need anything.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what do I do? And eventually, it just kind of worked itself out, but I don't fully understand how.
So it's like some of the game systems are maybe a little bit too opaque, or you also said, you told me that your city was growing and growing and growing, and there was just never any crime.
Right.
And so it makes you wonder, like, is that a bug, or is there just something going on?
They actually did resolve the crime thing I was talking about in a patch. Like there is now some crime. It's still very very light crime. Like it doesn't take much to like there are a bunch of areas of the city I think that are just not covered by the police, and there's still like no crime.
So like any simulation game, it's a balancing act between surfacing too much information to the player and not enough information to the player. And you do like this game a lot. You're giving it a great score, but that is an area where maybe some improvements could be made.
Right. I mean, I would just love to know what the problem I'm supposed to be solving is. And like a lot of these buildings are abandoned, and I don't know why. Like I click on it, it's like, well, it's abandoned.
What am I supposed to do?
Right.
What do I do with that?
Interesting. And yeah, you can kind of trim it like a bonsai tree and just go through and delete those buildings, and that actually improves property value. Like that makes people happy when I bulldoze stuff.
Yeah.
Bulldozing things does make me happy.
Yeah.
But
like it does.
But I don't really have a great understanding of how to fix that.
And so like SimCity, if you were to just plop a building, or not even a building, a district, for example, would things just grow there and replace them? Houses would be replaced with apartments, would be replaced with high-rises, if you zoned for it.
Yeah, I mean, you can see let me find a good spot. These the roads and zone areas are kind of interdependent, just like they are in the new SimCity. So you do that, and then you can just say, I want this zone to be residential.
Got it.
So it's different from the way SimCity 4 was, and it's much more similar to SimCity 5.
Got it.
It does keep all the kind of nitty-gritty stuff that you see in SimCity 5, or SimCity 4 rather, that SimCity 5 got rid of. Like, you don't have to lay water pipes. There's really no good reason that you have to lay water pipes in this. It's just like, just draw a grid and color in the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
again,
busy work.
I'm sort of two minds. You want something to be complex and complicated, but on the other hand, when are you ever going to not lay water pipe?
Right.
Like, it's sort of assumed, right? So I can totally see the complaint that it feels like sort of a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's just like one extra step I have to do to lay down a new zone. It's just kind of annoying, and I like forget sometimes. It's like, and then they whine at me, and it's like, oh yeah, I guess I'll go do that, but whatever.
And so one thing we were talking a little bit about before we hit the record button was this game sort of striking a balancing act between being a sim and being a game.
Right.
Like, it's almost an interesting complaint, but like kind of not a lot happens in these cities.
These are very sleepy towns. Like there are no disasters. There are fires. You can see, like, because my traffic is bad, like a bunch of buildings burned down before the fire department can get to it.
Yeah.
But those fires don't even spread. So you'll have these just individual buildings will burn down.
So in some ways, it's almost a little bit too friendly to the player. Like what's the challenge come from then? Like just balancing a budget and
that's exactly it.
Slowly and steadily growing, and that's not necessarily a pro or a con. It just gives the game kind of a different feel.
Right, and there's little to react to that you have to take care of quickly. And there's no like, oh, I was saving up for X or Y, and then the zombie problem breaks out, and you have to work to solve that.
So is it only sort of the sandbox mode, or are there scenarios, or what does sort of the package look like?
There are no scenarios, but let me take you out to the menu here, because there are some cool things here.
Well, we lost all our progress, Dan.
Oh well. So they've got a mod manager, which is going to be great.
Oh wow! Look at that Steam Workshop integration.
Yep.
I haven't seen a game be that integrated.
Yeah, it's not even out yet, so people haven't really started messing with it.
Right.
There are any number of like new stuff you can bring in. Mods, like they've already got a hard mode. They've got unlock all, which is great. I still want to play with that because and unlimited money. So now you've got your sandbox mode right there.
So
but
it's like that's actually really cool. That's a really smart way to handle it. Is look, not to turn it all over to the community and say, hey, you guys do it all, but it does sort of let people decide what's important for themselves.
Right.
And if a complaint is, hey, I'm a veteran city building player, you can just plop right into hard mode right at the start.
Yep. And they've got a map editor, which is great, which is another thing SimCity did not have that enraged many people, rightfully so. An asset editor, which allows you to, you can do things like pre-build roads, road intersections you want to use multiple times.
Oh, wow, or even things like individual buildings, it looks like. I mean, I don't know if that thumbnail is to be believed. But,
I haven't really messed around with it too much because it's, frankly, over my head in a lot of cases. But yeah, that's more to get into.
Interesting. And so is there anything, we actually didn't get into it in your city, but it has a subway system, it has a train system. I mean, is there anything sort of missing that you feel like should be there, or?
Not really. I mean, it covers the bases. Like, there's pretty much everything in here. Even the water is, they overdid the simulation here. let me show you this. Here's a water dam. Or water dam, duh.
It's a little redundant.
Right. Well, let's do it this way. I'm going to put down a wastewater pipe here. Just it's going to output raw sewage into my river.
Okay.
And this, you really kind of have to go out of your way to cause your own disasters.
Got it. So you're going to power up that wastewater plant.
Right. Oh, I should have done it up here. I'll do that too. So here's where my pumps come from, or my water pump is. There's no wastewater upstream, so it's pure, clean water.
Got it.
I'm going to just dump some sewage into the water.
And then it'll feed its way into your water supply.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool, though. I guess I don't know that I would agree that that's overdoing it. I mean, you've played the game and I haven't.
No, I'm not saying it's overdoing it. That is kind of cool. Although, let me show you the overdoing it part while we wait for that to happen. So the water simulation is kind of crazy. So wait for it.
Uh-oh.
Whoosh.
Okay.
This water is all fluid simulation, which is crazy. You don't need that for a game like this, but they did it anyway, and that's kind of admirable and also kind of wacky.
That is pretty cool.
Especially since water doesn't actually do that. But it's really a fun toy to play with, even though you kind of have to make your own action.
Right on. Dan, we got to take off here in a minute. I mean, is there anything else that we sort of haven't covered that you want to make sure people sort of understand about City Skylines if they're thinking about picking it up?
Those are the broad strokes. It's very complex, very in depth. Not as much hand-holding as maybe there should be. They kind of throw to the wikis a bit too much.
Interesting.
To expect you to solve your own problems.
So you're super into it, though. I mean, you're giving it an 8.5. That's a very, very good score.
Yeah.
Which is really promising for someone like me that's been really waiting for an in-depth sort of city builder to really sort of sink my teeth into.
And again, I'm giving this an 8.5 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great game. I do think of this as kind of the true successor to SimCity 4,
Awesome.
More so than SimCity 5, unfortunately. But it's really a great start, and they have said they are going to build in disasters in the future.
Yeah, right on. I
so
mean, it
that's
totally
coming.
seems like a foundation of, not that there's not a lot of content here, but this game has somewhere to go and somewhere to grow into.
Yep.
So if someone wants to get their hands on this, when is it coming out? Is it out now, and how much does it cost?
By the time you're watching this, it will be out.
Perfect.
All right, and again, stay tuned for our full video review and for everything on Cities Skylines. Stick with IGN.